Throughout history, there have been countless stories, songs, poems about love. Welcome to the program where love writes the story. Welcome to Love Without End. Thank you so much for joining us. Quick question for you. Do you know what is the best-selling book of all time? Well, it's a collection of songs, poems, letters, history, genealogical records, administrative records, wit, wisdom, and so much more, written by people of high position, kings and prime ministers, as well as those in more humble jobs and humble settings, shepherds, fishermen, tent makers. Considering the most recent contribution to this book was nearly 2,000 years ago, what exactly is in this book which gives it its appeal and continues to make it a bestseller in the technologically advanced, scientifically advanced, intellectually advanced 21st century? Well, we as a choir are going to share the content of this book in 10 songs. At the beginning of each episode, we'll present a song, then we're going to talk about it. Singers in the choir will share personal stories connected with the content of the song. One of our bass singers, I call him my bigger brother, David Billett, will present a reflection on the message in each song. As a songwriter, I will give a little bit of background behind the inspiration of the words and the music. And then we'll present the song again. Second time round, you'll have a much more informed understanding. And our desire is that you will hear the song in a different way, much more powerful and meaningful way. We want to present this in a very personal and simple manner. Today, to kick things off, you'll hear from me, and I'm going to reflect on a word which is often used to describe the content of this book, the Holy Bible. And this word is gospel. Now, we use that every day. We say, isn't that the gospel truth? The word gospel in modern English is a version of an older English word, Godspell or good spell. And that is a translation of a Greek word, evangelion. I'm from a family of teachers and professors and head teachers, so it's in our blood to share information. You will thank me next time this comes up in a quiz. A little bit about the history of the word gospel, not just for intellectual understanding, but there is a reason why I want you to understand what the word actually means, because it's what underpins the whole essence of the Bible. We have some words in English which are directly from the Greek language, such as euphoria, which means a good feeling. Eulogy, and logos is a Greek word meaning a word, so eulogy means a good word, to say a good word. You have eugenics, which means a good birth. Now, if you know a little bit about Latin and Greek, you know that the letters V and U are the same. So there are also words in the English language which begin EV, which are from this original Greek word meaning good. And one of these words is evangel or evangelistic. So the ev means good, but the angel, where we get our word angel, is actually from a Greek word agelos, which means a messenger, and agelion means a message. So evangelion means a good message. That's where we get our word evangelistic or evangelist or evangel from. So now you've learned something. So that was translated into the Older English as good, and then the angelion was translated into an Older English word spell, which means a story or a tale. So putting them together, evangelion, good spell, modern English, gospel. There you have it. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this word gospel is a religious word. After all, there's a religious genre of music which we as a choir sing, called gospel music. It describes the message of the Bible, and an evangelist typically is somebody who is preaching the message of the Bible. But it's actually not a religious word. Evangelion in the Greek language just means good news. Something good has happened, whatever that good thing has happened. It was used often at the end of a war when victory was won. So, good news, we've won the victory. Also when there's a new leader. Good news, we have a new leader. Look forward to better lives. Change is coming. And indeed, it is that application through which we can understand the Bible. Because the Bible is a book talking about change coming. Under new management, under new leadership, things are going to get better. But why do they need to get better? Well, a useful way of understanding the Bible is it's in three parts. What was, and that's contained in the opening chapters of the Bible. What will be, and that's contained in the closing chapters of the Bible. But the bulk, the majority of the Bible is what happened, what became, what is. And we are living in the what is of the Bible. It started off good, it will end good, but in the middle there is this good plus bad, or good plus evil, positive plus negative. This conflict, this tension, this battle, this controversy, good versus evil. And you would agree with me that we live in a good world, beautiful world, lots of beautiful places. You can travel anywhere in its beauty. But in the midst of that beauty, side by side, it's also poverty and hunger and destruction of the planet. And even within ourselves, I'm sure there's lots of good things you can say about yourself, and you should think very well and highly of yourself. But then there are the conflicts inside of you, the little habits that we have. So there is that continual living together, that cohabitation of the good and the evil. In fact, the Bible, the majority of the Bible, when it gets into this what happened bit, talks about messed up lives, people who we mention their names and we think, oh, that's a holy person. Their lives were messed up. But the fundamental thing, because this is a book about relationships and the dynamics of relationship, the fundamental thing, which is a theme of our whole series, is there is a love which is working its way throughout this good and bad, and seeking when it's bad and trying to bring back to the good. And sometimes the good lasts for a while, and then all of a sudden it's a slamming of the door like you saw in the music video, a turning away. But then that love keeps seeking and searching, and that love came to its ultimate act of demonstrating what it really means, what love really means, through an act of sacrifice, an act of death. To help you understand, I'm going to give a simple analogy, but I don't think anything can adequately describe this love. But let's use an analogy. You've just seen a wonderful house, 6 bedrooms, big gardens. Let's just throw in a swimming pool for good measure. You really want this house. House of your dreams. You go to see your bank manager, gives you the mortgage. You're happy. You're living in that house, a family are in, enjoying the swimming pool, good times. All of a sudden, life gets a little bit bad. There's an economic downturn. You've lost your job. You're struggling to keep up with the repayments. And your house is under threat. The banks are threatening to repossess. You don't know how you're going to pay your mortgage. And then you get a knock at the door, and somebody says, I hear you're struggling to pay your mortgage. Here is some money. Pay the backlog, and here's some more money for you to pay the months to come. Of course, you're grateful. You accept the money, and you pay off your arrears, and then you continue to pay off your mortgage. But then the situation doesn't get better in your life. You're still in need of some way of paying the mortgage. Knock on the door again, some more money. Same thing happens. You pay it off, you're grateful, and then the same thing happens again, you get back into trouble. Knock on the door again, here's some money. This time, you decide, well, we've had it a little bit rough as a family. I've always wanted to go to the Bahamas with its wonderful white sands and inviting seas. Let's go on holiday, family. I'm going to book a 5-star hotel. We're going to travel first class. In fact, go out and buy some new clothes. We're going to live it up. So you take that money which you've been generously given to pay your mortgage, and you go off, and you use it to go off on holiday. Have a good time. You come back, of course, all the letters are there saying, where's your mortgage? We're going to take your house away. And then you hear that knock on the door again, and you're thinking, oh dear, how do we explain this? And the person says, I will pay what you failed to pay, but I will also pay off the rest of your mortgage so you don't have any more problems. Oh, on top of that, I'm going to buy you another house, bigger. Now, of course, you hear that and you say, oh, thanks very much. See you later, and close the door. Or maybe you stand there in wonder and bewilderment, trying to work out why in the world would somebody do something so crazy. You don't get it. You've abused this person's generosity, but yet he's now coming to pay off the rest of your mortgage and give you another house on top. That's just a weak analogy of the gospel, the message, this love without end message, which is in this book. And I had the challenge of reflecting on this love and trying to write about it in song. The obvious challenge is, how do you write about, what words can you use to describe such a love that would be almost so crazy enough to keep going back after you, even when you've abused the love, abused the generosity, turned your back, slammed the door like you saw in the music video. I couldn't find words to describe, so I was just left with questions. What kind of love would reach to the depths? And the melody uses what's known as word painting. What the words are saying, the melody does something which matches the characteristics of the words. So reach to the depths, the melody goes down, because this is about this love reaching down to wherever we are. When we feel we've sunk so low, this love reaches to the depths. Next line says, and lifts us to heights. So the melody's going up as you are lifted to those heights. And I imagine almost like a heroic film where somebody's down in a dungeon and danger, and something comes, or someone comes and rescues them and picks them out of that danger. And that's what I had in mind when that line was written, lifts us to heights. But this next word is unknown. Many of us who have discovered this love will describe the real feeling that we have, both the emotional feeling, but also the intellectual feeling, where we've been taken to places that we didn't think imaginable. We thought we were destined to go one place, but this love lifted us, changed our lives so dramatically that we cannot even put it into words, we cannot describe. And it's just unknown. Lifts us to heights unknown. This is an unresolved harmony here, unresolved chord in the accompaniment. And that's because we haven't yet reached, we haven't yet attained what that love is doing for us, what that love can do for us. Oh, it changes us in a dramatic way in our own experience. But there is more beyond. There is more literally out of this world That's the unknown. That's what the love is going to do for your life. Next line says, when we turned away, when we went astray. The melody, we turned, it's all going in a straight line, but then it turns at the end. And your life is sometimes like that. Going in the right direction, then you turn off. And then you go astray. But that love, even though it's pursuing you and you go astray, it's going off the path. And when you're going in all directions, that love is seeking you. There is nothing that you've done. There is nothing that you feel. There's no low that you can feel that you've reached, which that love will not reach and seek you. What kind of love reached out and sought us and safely home brought us? So as you can hear in the melody is reaching out. That's what this love is doing. It's reaching out and seeking, looking for you where you are. Even if you try to hide, even if you say, I don't want to know, this love is seeking you out and never stops seeking you out. And once it seeks you and gets you, it will bring you to a place of safety. And safely home brought us. It's getting hopeful as that melody lifts, rescues you from where you are, and you're running away and it's pursuing you, and it reaches out and grabs you in its arms and says, you're home, you're in safety now. Having asked all those questions, what sort of love would do that? The bold statement comes in the chorus. God's love. We emphasize God's love. We describe love unconditional, love without end. And for the next two lines, I borrow from the words of two contemporaries of Jesus. One was a close friend, somebody who wrote about this love and how much this love changed their lives. His name is John. And he writes, behold, just look at what type of love God has lavished upon us as human beings, that we can have dignity and worth. We can have a change, that good news. Our lives can be filled with this love and filled with value, that we can be considered the sons and the daughters, the children of God. What love. And then I borrow also from the words of another contemporary of Christ. He's never recorded as ever interacting with Christ, but he exists a lot after Christ is off the scene, and many of his letters comprise the second part of the Bible, the New Testament. His name is Paul. And he writes in a letter to a community of new Christian believers in Rome, he says, nothing can separate us from the love of God. What powerful words. Nothing can separate us. There is nothing that you do, that I do, nothing we can do, which makes it possible for God to say, I do not love. This love seeks us where we are, what we've done. And even when we turn away again and again, it keeps coming back after us. And part of the love is not just seeking us out and saying, you are forgiven, but also it's part of that love. Like when you love someone, you try to keep them out of the danger. This love gives the power to grow and to develop character, that we don't keep running away. That's what this love does. And because it searches you to the depths, wherever you are, because it searches you when you go astray and keeps running, because it seeks you out, and because nothing can separate you, and because it's so freely poured out upon you time and time again. That accurately describes a love without end. In the next episode of Love Without End.
Where did it start? How did it all begin? What is the purpose of this biological life, flesh and blood?
You are warmly invited to join us again. And you can find details of how to get the full album recording containing all the music of Love Without End at CroydonSDA Gospel Choir.co.uk.